The Betterment Junkies.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I am Mr. White.
And I'm Mr. Black.
And we are the Betterment Junkies. And today we kind of set out to talk about what's happening in France, the riots that are happening in Paris. Because, I kind of couldn't believe it.
It's all over the country. It's not just one central
Yeah,
riot
it's
or
the
protest.
entire population of France almost. When I was reading it, someone said it was about 80% of France feel this way. 80% of the population, and they're rioting. And if you look at the pictures and the videos that are going on in, like, especially where it's going on in Paris, where most of it is, it's brutal. Like, there's things set on fire on the street, rubber bullets being fired, water hoses being, like, it's almost like a 1700 another French Revolution. Like, it
Yeah, but
feels.
I looked into it too, and they're like, the people were just like nonchalantly saying like, this is how things are done in France. This is how shit gets done because politicians won't pay attention to us unless we're violent.
They're supposed to be the soft country, you know? They're supposed to be the romantic soft country. Yet they seem to be rioting everywhere and
I feel
anywhere.
like, yeah, I've heard that. I know that stereotype too, but then also. I feel like they're also a bunch of sadistic fucks. Like back in the 1700s, they're just beheading people.
All right, let's not
Like,
generalize. Let's not just
no, I'm not generalizing. I'm just
piss
saying the
off the entire
stereotype
country.
is that there's one like France, like back in the 1700s, where the people were just like fucking killing
Yeah,
people,
I
mob
mean
mentality.
it is
That
brutal.
was in
Yeah,
France.
yeah, that is
Yeah.
true. That is true.
The current people
And the
that
French did come to help us win the American Revolutionary War. We didn't learn the brutal tactics, you know. So whatever. Anyways, to get to present time here, what's going on in France? So do you know the gist of the issue, correct, Mr. Black?
remind me.
So they're the main reason now the riots they're getting worse now, but it did start earlier in November, probably like the first week in November. And what it was is that their gas prices, their fuel prices are rising. Their president Macron,
Sounds like a
um,
cookie.
yeah, right.
Duh.
Yeah,
Sounds like a like I got
and
hungry listening to his name.
you know what? I always assumed that like the European leaders were somehow better than the American leaders, but now it makes sense why Donald Trump gets along with Macron, because they're both fucking idiots and fuck ups. Like I
I
realize
don't
now.
know. Like I haven't heard him talk. I guess it doesn't matter because I don't know French, so I guess I don't need to know hear him talk. But I mean, I don't know anything about his policy. All I know about him is he's married to someone who's like 30 years older than him or something
I
like that.
didn't even know that. I don't know a lot about him either. I just knew he was really buddy buddy with Trump, and I just couldn't understand it. Like all the other leaders are smart enough to stay away from him. Why are you like it just didn't make sense to me, but now I get it. Seeing
But I mean,
France in the state.
well, think about it though. Like if you were a leader of a country and the U.S. like Trump comes up to you, you have to kiss his ass. Be like in order for your country to benefit. Like you have to get along with
That's not
America.
entirely true. I mean, there is diplomatic ways of handling it, but you don't have to necessarily kiss his ass. Okay, we're getting a little sidetrack of Macron, but basically what he did was he rose the fuel taxes, basically the gas prices, um, to stop using fossil fuels, to stop burning more fossil fuels. So it's almost like a good intent, but the way he did it is he taxed up their gas prices, and they're not in a good shape economically. A lot of people blame Macron for drying up their economic status in the world and kind of losing a lot of funds in different policies and things that he did. I'm not an expert on it. I don't know him as well or his policies in his country as well, but those are the big complaints about him. And when he did this, converted, dude, listen to this. Converted, they're paying with that 30 cent per gallon raise that they got because of Macron. They're paying $7 and about 6 cents per gallon in U.S. dollars. Yeah, they have nothing. Some of the stories of the people, you know how we go like, oh, we have to live paycheck to paycheck and we get paid bi-weekly. They're
Hmm.
done their paycheck of a two-family household or a three-family, four-family household within the first week. And this
Damn.
affects, there's a lot of drivers, and this it's called I believe it's called the yellow vest riots that they're doing, and the yellow vest represents like the truck drivers. um some of the
Oh, yeah,
pictures,
because I saw a bunch of them wearing that.
yeah,
The vets.
yeah, it's like their symbol of the riots, and it's it's eerie because some of the pictures that are taken, they're like it's almost beauty and chaos, and but you once you realize that this is actually happening in the real world, this picture is not just a beautiful picture. It's like this is happening. This is damaging. This is damaging a country. So
What do you
it
think would happen if like these? I mean, I don't think this will happen, but what do you think would happen if the people start like overthrowing the government? Do you think the U.S. will step in?
I mean, the way Trump and Macron are, like, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump just be like, no, buddy, he's my only friend.
I mean, but can
But
he even do that though? Like, I mean, like,
no, I
I don't
don't.
think
I
he
mean,
can.
there's so much diplomacy that I would not even understand because I'm not a politician to help out in a situation like that. But that's where I wanted to kind of lead this conversation into. France is going through this time period of whatever the economic situation is, they're barely struggling, and it's coming to a point of anarchy. And it's something we actually like almost got into when we talked about Legend of Korra in one of the seasons. It's all about anarchy and kind of
Hmm.
overthrowing government. When it gets this bad, before it used to be like almost like a social trend. You had the French Revolution, then the American Revolution. You kind of had these revolutions happening. Now in this day and age with technology, the way war is, the way violence is, are these revolutions fathomable? Are they acceptable? Do you think? Is it
Well,
no matter what?
with your question, there are like two things. First of all, the edgy teenager who thinks anarchy is cool, or anyone who thinks anarchy is a really good social system or a political system in which we should incorporate, is a fucking moron.
Yeah, it's not.
Like MGK like believes in anarchy. Apparently, I read that when that whole beef was going on with Eminem. He's
I
like,
did not know that.
yeah. I mean, he's the
I
first
mean, I
person.
listened to his rebuttal, and
Yeah,
it was a pretty good rebuttal,
it
but
was. It was.
I
But Rap Devil was better. I mean, not Rap
I
Devil. Kill Shot was better.
I did not hear that one.
You didn't hear? What the fuck? I told you to listen to it. You
Oh,
didn't
you
hear
mean
Eminem's Kill
Eminem's?
Shot?
Oh, Eminem's?
Yeah, Kill
Oh,
Shot.
oh,
Eminem.
oh, yeah, yeah. I thought you were talking about who's a rapper named Killshot. I didn't know the
Uh,
name of the song. I
all right.
apologize for that.
Yeah.
I apologize for that.
'Cause I
We're,
specifically remember telling you to listen to that.
yes, you did. You did. And I did. And he
Okay.
killed it.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
but I
no,
was gonna
with the
say something
anarchy
about
thing.
Eminem, but
The first thing is
let's
the
revert back.
anarchy thing. Yeah,
Yes,
the first thing is
anarchy.
the anarchy thing. And I think the big trend that's happening right now is a distribution of wealth. The issue is with distribution of wealth. Revolutions happen when like you have the majority of the population, the more of your population that is fucked over and has no hope to better themselves, once it reaches a tipping point, then they just go and fuck with the upper class.
Which is like you're saying that, and it's actually happening in real life. Some of these stories, these people that are traveling so far to be part of these riots, is because they can do nothing else. They have no money, they have nothing to support their families, so all they can do is fight, and that's why they're joining these riots, and that's why there's masses of these riots because these people are actually just impoverished. They don't
I
have
got
anything to
see, the
do.
thing is I don't know. I have to hear the other side. I haven't heard anything from the other side.
What is
I haven't
you mean
heard.
like Macron side?
Yeah,
He,
I
he
even
he
if
he issued a statement basically saying if you're participating in the riots, you're a criminal of the country.
no, I mean like any of his supporters or anyone who's not in the riots who thinks it's not
M-
good
Maybe I
or
did do one-sided research, but I didn't see a lot of people supporting his idea or way of going about it.
because whenever something like this happens, I just have to hear both sides, even if it's like this. Like I don't know, I'm just always like I don't trust what the media
The other
display.
side is greed. You love your greed, they're running a business.
Yeah, I do. I do love
Yeah,
my greed.
yeah.
But like I
You
don't
love your
know, it
Macron.
could be something else fueling it. I don't know like any about this stuff, and I frankly did not do the research to speak on this subject. But I'm
Well,
just saying,
no, okay. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm just saying like usually when I'm presented with this a huge one-sided argument saying, "Oh, these people are fucked up. These people are fucked up. These people are suffering." My instant idea is like, all right, what's the side of the people who are doing the fucking over.
Well, I mean, how can you? I understand that you want to be fair and listen to both sides, but when there's a clear nation going through riots and protests of what their government is doing, don't you think their side is what's being like what the
Well,
other side is
okay,
doing is affecting one side, and that's why that side is reacting?
but let me ask you this: why did Macron
Macron, Macron.
pronounce us every
He
time?
sounds kind of like macaroni or something. I'm getting hungry
Okay,
every
no.
time.
What the cookie? I know you described the cookie
Yeah,
as
yeah, I know
the
what you
advertisement.
say.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's a croissant mixed with one of those Indian biscuits brought to me by a toucan.
but
That's what I'm picturing every time you say his name.
that's why a toucan.
I don't know. It sounds a little kind of. It has an edge of tropicalness to it, but then the
Macron.
croissant is like I don't know.
That's so
No,
funny.
but okay. Let me ask you: why did Macron put this tax raise? What was his reasoning behind it?
Well, in what it says, and I actually have it here. One second. It was something to do with like stop using the fossil fuels. The tax was going to increase in the price of like gas.
Okay, so it's going to increase the price of gas. Was there an alternative that I mean,
Okay,
I don't,
okay, okay.
yeah,
I'm
I don't
sorry.
think he would do
Listen,
that.
listen to this.
Okay.
Listen to this. I have this, and I'm just gonna just straight read this. I guess I should source it, right? It's from Vox, like Vox, which they do like the coverage. They take the pictures and everything.
I'm not sure if I've used them as a source before, but I had never checked if they were legit. But go
Okay,
ahead.
whatever. Let's just okay. I guess I'll start in the middle. The protest started around November 17 when French drivers sporting yellow vests led a demonstration of 280,000 people across the country to push back against the rising taxes on gas and diesel. French President Emmanuel Macron, as part of his many economic reforms, announced the gas taxes earlier this year to minimize France's reliance on fossil fuels.
Okay, but is there like alternative to people? I mean, it's like if they tax the shit out of us in gas, then there should be he should want us to do something else. Or is it just not?
Give everybody electric cars, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, he's just trying to get people to stop driving as much, I guess.
I don't know what the motive is. It just he says to stop reliance on fossil fuels, but like what is the true motive? It goes on to say the tax will increase the price of fuel by about 30 cents per gallon and will continue to rise over the next few years. The French government says gas already costs about $7.06 per gallon in France. The protest movement, not known as Yellow Vest, has blockaded streets, yada yada. It just goes on to say what they're doing as the riots, but who can really tell what their true motive is as to why they're doing that? If they really wanted to do it for environmental reasons or for, to stop burning fossil fuels for those type of reasons, why tax the shit out of gas? Like, why?
Okay,
I
so
mean, I guess.
I was looking this up,
Uh-huh.
and then something came up, and I was like kind of like reading it, and then like, oh, it was like the French treasury was nearly empty when Louis the 15th did this. I'm like, oh, who the fuck Louis the 15th? I'm like, oh, this is like 1700 shit.
The wrong revolution.
Yeah.
He's traveling back in time.
Yeah.
No, you gotta look for Macron. Macron. Yeah, you're looking for the wrong one. Well, I do want to touch back onto the idea because it's coming into the sense of France is becoming into an anarchic state. I don't know if that's a word, but we both agree anarchy is not a solution. It's not, you
I
know,
don't think they're near. Anarchy is pretty intense. Like, I mean, I
okay,
feel
it
like they're
is
just
it is really intense. I shouldn't say that.
like it's
Let's say
not near
revolution.
anarchy yet.
Let's say revolution. They're coming to a revolution type of standpoint, but a revolution. I
It looks
want to
like a
go.
revolution, but is it really that many people?
It's a lot. It's
It's a
a
lot of people, but it's
No, it's a
like,
lot, and it's 80% of the population agrees, whether they're participating or not. They agree with the Yellow Vest riots.
hmm.
So it's a lot. It's a lot of movement. Now, I'm not saying it's going to come into anarchic and government's going to be overthrown. Macron's going to be guillotined in the middle of the street and his head's going to be like staked up. And I'm not saying all that's going to happen. That's like total anarchy. But I want to push the extreme boundary for a second because it's getting it's getting serious down there. So you and I both agree that anarchy is not a good system. I had asked you the question earlier, which I'm kind of forgetting because it was like a two-part question.
Hmm.
Do you remember what I asked you?
Was it about anarchy?
Yeah, it was about anarchy. What did I ask you in the beginning? I wish we could rewind because it was a good question, and I'm just drawing a blank right now.
Maybe it wasn't that great a question if you
Shut the
forgot it.
fuck up. Shut the. You
Well,
just
I mean,
didn't know how
like
to
the reason. I
answer
mean,
it, so you're trying to
well,
forget it.
I mean, to people who don't know what anarchy is just it's a system without a system. It's just no one. There's no leadership. That's
It's
the
total
entire premise.
chaos. And
Well,
you
no, no.
should.
So chaos is a byproduct of anarchy, but I
Yeah,
believe the actual premise of anarchy is just as there's no hierarchy, there's no leadership. Everyone just does what they want. It's like almost like
which always
West.
fails because there always from anarchy will always rise another leader, another most likely a militant group from that to control the masses. It's
Yeah.
not a sustainable type of.
No, as humans, we need leadership, and there are leaders within us, and we just don't operate that way.
True, true. I agree. I concur with Mr. Black for once. So, I mean, I know like we're very far removed from it because we're not in France. So it's an important subject and it's good to talk about. But like when I hit you up about it, like, oh, France, you didn't really know what was going on. And I don't think a lot of people do. Is that good or is that bad?
It brings me into perspective because I'm just like so into US. Like, okay, so this is what happens. This is how I watch the news. I watch the news like primarily every single night, but then I go through like these time periods where I just don't watch the news because I'm just tired of
All
the
the shit.
bullshit
Yeah, yeah.
on
No,
both sides.
I get it.
On
I get
both
it.
sides, right? So then I'll stop watching it. And then after a while, it'll be like something fucked up will happen. I'm like, oh, okay, I need to really pay attention. This is like responsible. I need to watch the news.
I need to be responsible.
Yeah, I need to like at least be aware of what the fuck is going on and understand it. Um, but then I realized that my scope of news is just America. It's crazy. There's other shit going on in the world. Like when this France thing happened, I'm just like, damn, I forgot about France.
I forgot. I feel like
Like
everyone does.
yeah, I mean, and anytime something big happens around the world, it seems it's a lot of work because then now I gotta fucking understand French people. Like, you know what I mean? I
No, I
gotta,
get it though. Like
yeah, like, I
I don't
don't
want to
know
just
what their
jump to a
politics are. I
conclusion.
don't know any.
Yeah, I know what our problems are, but I don't know what your problems are.
Yeah, like, what do they have a conservative and liberal party? I'm sure every democracy has that. And how is their democracy different than our democracy? Because ours is pretty fucking unique.
Whoa, it's pretty fucking broken now, but that's a different
Well, I
discussion.
believe we have the best system in the world
Well, technically,
and with the best
you could
fucking
say
people.
North Korea has the best system if you want to get all the people in line.
Whoa, Mr. White taking the dark side.
I know. I went
That's
there. I
usually
went
my
there.
role.
I know.
Elaborate.
Well, like if you talk about like the ultimate goal of leadership is to, I guess it's almost control. I'm not saying you should do better with that control in my belief, but if you want the ultimate control, who has the ultimate control over their population?
Well, then they would argue what the purpose of leadership is. I would say leadership is not inherent in the definition of leadership. The definition, like what the goal of leadership is to get you and your team to one objective or goal. And in America, that's just the goal is the betterment of the people.
So I mean, think about it this way: if North Korea wasn't so bad the way it is, let's say they were still communist. They didn't necessarily define themselves as democracy. But let's just say the leader of North Korea, and while I'm saying this, think of our government. The
Mhm.
leader starts delegating. He says because he doesn't he's not a bad person. He's actually a good leader. What we sense as a good leader, this is what in my hypothetical world, North
Mhm.
North Korea's leader is still, their nation is still communist, but he's a good leader. So he starts delegating. He's like, with all the criminals and all the justice, here are my rules and my recommendations, but you're going to implement them. And then he starts delegating. Here are my policies and procedures. Go out and get the information from my population and see which works and see which ones I implement, and leave a couple leaders over there so that we can start transferring the information through them and make sure our people follow him. What does it start looking like to you? It starts looking like a branched out government.
Yeah.
I know he's doing it very fucked up, but like if he was actually a good leader, people he wouldn't be misguiding them with information. I always believe knowledge is power.
Oh, so you
He
think if you replace the current leader of North Korea with someone like an amazing leader, then that would be the optimal system to like
Yeah,
run the government?
but like what I just said, does it not resemblance what America is? We have one elected president branched off into people, a judiciary system, branched off into legislative system, branched off into military. Like there are branches that go from this leader. It's just that he is a dictator and they're doing very bad in that country. I keep saying very bad. I sound like President Trump. Please shoot me.
I
But
would have to disagree because I think that our system is inherently way better and it's different because it's incorporated the checks and balances in the system, and that's
yeah,
huge. Like,
so
let's say
that
let's say you
that I
took
agree.
Trump. Yeah, let's say you took Trump and you put him in North Korea in charge. I mean, he would fuck it up. Like he
Yeah,
would,
because he's
no, he
not a
would
good
have
leader
the power
though.
to fuck it up. He would have the power to fuck it up. But now in America, yeah, he says a lot of crazy shit, and he does some stupid shit, but that's within his power. But I mean, he can't do a lot of
He's checked.
crazy shit.
Yeah, he's checked. No, and I get it. But let's take that same scenario and let's put Obama in North Korea. Like, imagine all the good he could do if he was a little bit unchecked.
See, I believe evil from humans is not inherent. I believe evil comes from the systems we make. So like you have a good leader in there.
Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm gonna stop you right there because last time you argued with me that people are inherently bad,
Yeah.
and now you're saying that people aren't inherently evil. It comes from a system.
So evil that comes inherently is just what I would say is synonymous with weakness.
What do you elaborate?
So let's say you are in World War II, Germany, you're a soldier. Like the weakness to be a Nazi is some people stood up to the Nazis, and I'm not like I will be 100% honest with you. If I was in that situation, I don't know. Like I don't know like there are situations in World War II always brings me back because it whenever a situation comes up and like if I was there, I would do this. If the grenade was there, I would jump and save
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've like really looked at it. I'm like, that takes away from true goodness of people who actually do that. You know what I mean? Like
I agree.
he's saying like, oh, I would do that. Like it
I
no,
agree.
it's not respectful. So and so that means there's a strength of character, and strength of character generally, if you have a strength of character, there are good traits that are fueled by strength of character. But weakness is not usually strength of character. Weakness is just succumbing to the evil tendencies you have, or to go with the flow. Like Nazis did
So
evil
so
shit,
basically
so they went
you're
with the
saying
flow.
so just to kind of bring it together, the reason you say people are inherently bad or have inherently evil traits is because they grow from weakness. It starts from weakness.
No, evil. I've always associated evil with weakness and good with strength. And weakness doesn't have to always mean just weakness of character, but it could be weakness of morale, weakness of responsibility. Weakness in any good characteristic usually results in evil. And I'll give you an example. Like there's a famous example where a girl, I don't know if anyone's a psychology major, they'll know this. What does that happen? It was in the newspaper, I think in the 1950s, and you probably heard of it too. There was a girl in front of an apartment complex that got stabbed like 50 times.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember this? And then
I
people were watching, and no one called the cops.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And what that is diffusion of responsibility. So they did other studies where in similar situation, not similar situation, but situations similar to that,
Hmm.
the less on people, the more responsibility was on per person. But to me, what I see in that is so many people having a weakness of responsibility. Like they don't see it as their responsibility. You know what I'm
So
trying to say?
that's why you think, in a larger sense, that we aren't inherently good because we're controlled more by our weakness, whether it's weakness of morale or weakness of character. Am I
Yeah,
am
because
I
I
summing it up?
believe that good characteristics are built. You have to build them. They're not like we have stuff like that, but to stand up
I think
for
because
good causes.
I see where you're, because you associate good with strength, and strength is something you have to build up. The way you say it makes sense because that's the viewpoint. Where I see good as it's like innocence. Innocence is good to me.
Yeah, but I see it as like okay, like something doing something being okay. The words nice and kind. If you're a nice guy, that's not something I'm taking this is to anyone listening, like Jordan Peterson is where I'm getting this from. If you're a nice guy, that's not really admirable. You're nice, but kind. There's a difference. There's a slight inflection with kindness. To be kind is to actually go out and do something. Being nice is kind of being polite.
Okay.
Because being polite is easy because the uncomfortableness with not being nice. So when someone says you're a nice guy, it's kind of empty. But usually kind really infers something as far as you were doing something that's kind of admirable.
Hmm. You know what? I got called kind today at work instead of nice. So I kind
Well,
of feel
some
good
people
about
don't know the
myself.
difference, so
Yeah, shut
yeah.
the fuck. Yeah, now you want to retract. Well, what did you mean? Why did you bring that example up between nice and kind?
Damn, we like went from point to point to point to down. I forget the original point. Why do we even talk about this?
I
It
was
has to
talking.
do with the
We were talking
weakness,
about North
evil and
Korean stuff.
weakness.
Yeah, we were talking about the government. And then you were saying that people are
Oh no,
inherently
no,
evil from
government.
the
Like if you
system.
took Obama and put him in North Korea,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's what I'm saying. Like you within a system, like systems really bring out a system can really bring out the evil or the good in people. So if you have a system that only relies on one person, it's going to get. I mean, one person may be great, but then the next one may be fucked up. That's why we don't have kings anymore. To rely a whole society on one person is too much. It's not consistent. You get a good king, then you get his fucked up son, or like you know what I mean. Like
Nah, I
you
get you.
can't.
I get you.
That's why we don't like kings anymore. Like for example, when I went to Thailand, their king had recently passed, and the people there fucking loved their king. Before we went there, they said, "Don't disrespect the king." But everyone there also didn't really like the son.
Ooh, ooh, that's gotta
That was
burn.
told to me. Yeah, they.
When
I
did
don't know what
you
it's like there. I don't know
when did
anything
you
about
go to
politics.
Thailand? Was this recent?
I think I went a couple of years ago or a year
Okay,
ago.
so this is a recent act. I mean, I agree. Look in Saudi Arabia. Look at what the son is doing. The
Hmm.
crown prince that took over. I mean, I absolutely do agree. I was just challenged when you say America was kind of the best system. I was challenging you. It's ideally supposed to be the best system. I agree with the checks and balances and the right to vote. But corruption is like that dampening thing on the ideal government.
So actually, the thing is though, is like it's lobbying. Lobbying is just making corruption legal.
You said that last time. So you consider those two different, lobbying and corruption?
No, I mean like they're essentially the same thing, but it's just this weird thing where lobbying is corruption, right? But lobbying is a legal act.
Mm,
What do you mean?
I
You
get
know what I
what you're
mean? Like,
saying.
but so like corruption is inherently built into our.
Our
I
system.
never got that. I need to look into that more because like it just doesn't make sense to me. Oh, and then like funding politicians to run, so then you pay them back. Is that lobbying or is that what
That
is
would be
that?
lobbying. Yeah, that would be lobbying.
Is that lobbying? Because
Yeah.
that makes no sense. I watched this John Oliver piece on chickens. Fucking fucked up shit because of chicken lobbyists. Like Purdue is like a fucked up company.
Oh, I get what.
You know
Okay.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they like just
Yeah, and
they
all these lobby. It's basically like pulling loans from different organizations because they support your ideals.
it's like corporations influencing the government. This is what happens when corporations influence the government.
But you're all about that.
Hmm?
You're all about corporations.
Yeah, but I'm not all
You're
about
all about
corporations.
trickle down economics.
No, I'm not about trickle down economics.
Aren't you all about the greed and corporation and
This is
kind of
what
let it all
happens
work
when you
itself out?
assume that I'm a conservative. You just lump me in with every single Republican idea that's ever
Yeah,
been there.
because you just started becoming this right wing
I mean,
person.
okay, let me do the same thing to you. You're like, let's say you're a liberal Democrat. I mean, are you for, were you like, did you like Clinton's idea on the war on drugs and what that did to this country?
No, no, absolutely
So,
not.
I mean, I didn't assume that you were. So,
No,
there are
and
like fucked up things that both parties did.
I shine a light on that anytime I can, and I really like that is one of the most disgraceful. There's a lot of things, obviously, but that's like up there, top five of what that administration did with the drug war.
Yeah, I mean, we should do one where we look into that because I'm not sure. Like, the Clintons, dude, they seem fucking evil to me after like reading some other stuff and the Clinton
Now I
Foundation.
get it. I get it.
Like,
Yeah, they
I
aren't.
don't know.
Did we make actually a better choice with Trump? That's a good debate one day.
I think we did.
Oh, I don't know.
No,
I don't feel
only
it.
not because of like the short-sighted thing, but just because he it's like throwing a rock into the pond. It just fucks shit up, and then now after Trump, people are just gonna want like a normal president, but that president will be able to have more freedom than any president before Trump.
So you think the next president after Trump is going to be like America's most vital president ever to exist?
No. I just think he will have more freedom because like think about it, like Obama give a perfect image out of like what the perfect family should be and stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, but is that what qualifies you to be a leader, like of the free world? Like, is that
No,
what
I mean
qualifies?
that's not the only image he gave out. He was a good leader. He was actually a good leader.
No, but yeah, no, yeah, he was definitely a good leader. But what I'm just saying is like, it gives, it changes the way a president needs to act.
What do you mean?
Like, let me see.
Why so serious?
Yeah, fucking stop.
What did you mean though? I don't.
No, okay. So Trump says dumb ass shit all the time, and it blows people's minds because
Not
he's the president.
anymore. It's kind of like
Exactly.
13-page news.
Now, the next president will most likely bring an air of calm because he's probably more articulate, right?
So
But
he won't be
but
as
the
scrutinized.
line has moved, so now it's not as tight as it was before.
Okay,
You see what I'm
but
trying to
like,
say?
I no, I get what you're saying, but is that a good thing?
I mean, I think so. I think so because it's like
I mean, what if it's another Trump-like
our
character?
current politicians. I'm not impressed on either side. It's just so bipartisan, and it's so clearly playing a
Wait,
game.
hold on. Isn't bipartisan good?
No, I mean so clearly. What's the word? Yeah, I misused the word bipartisan. It's so clearly like one party versus the other party.
No, yeah, I
You know what
agree.
I mean? Like just to win.
People
That's
need to
like the
come into the
objective is to
middle.
win. Hmm?
No, I agree. People need to come into the middle.
Like
They're sorry, go ahead.
no, I hate. I'm not even. George H.W. Bush passed away.
Hmm.
So I was reading
Rest in
about
peace.
him. Yeah, I was reading about him, and I mean, it's not something negative. It's just what all politicians do, and I just so happened because he passed away to read about him.
Hmm.
So when he lost the first election, he was against. I believe he was for like he was for or against abortion. I forget which one, but then he flipped because he got offered the vice presidency. And so I believe Reagan was like, you can be the vice president, but are you going to give me trouble in this? He's like, no. And the thing is, like, it's not a bad quality in this state because if you want to inflict change, you may have to, as a politician, sacrifice your morals for the short term so in the long term you can do what you believe is good. But that's how the system is built. And it's
I
weird as
get it.
fuck.
I get
Mhm.
it. I'm actually that brings me. It reminds me, I should say, of the new movie coming out, Vice, of Dick Cheney as George W.
I didn't know
Bush's.
any of that shit, dude. Did
Yeah,
you?
I knew some of it, but I didn't know like, as the extent of the power and control he had over George Bush as the way they're showing it.
Yeah, I
And
didn't like when Bush was president, I didn't pay attention to politics at
I
all.
mean, we were young to kind of understand. I mean, at least I believe like politics wasn't my thing at the time. Like
Hmm.
I barely could understand that we were at a time of war. So I don't think like I could have grasped exactly what was going on.
I
That
don't
I
know if I
actually
was I don't know if I was exceptionally a dumb kid, but I specifically remember like we had a school election between George W. Bush and Al Gore, and I remember I voted for Bush because he had a red tie and I liked red. So I guess I was really little
that's
or
so
really
funny.
stupid. Like
I
that,
ran
I
for
remember that
like
was my thought process.
my exceptionally dumb student moment. I ran for like student president in middle school, and I happened to wear a red tie. And one of the teachers, and I was like the only one who dressed up in a suit, formal clothes. So I was already embarrassed by then. And one of the teachers came up and he said, and he knew, like everyone knew I wasn't gonna win. It's a popularity contest, but I still did it anyways. And he kind of came up. He's like, you know what? George W. Bush wore a red tie, and I don't know why. It kind of made me feel like better. Like the president did it, so I guess I'm good.
Do you think he
But
was
that's,
Republican?
I'm sorry.
Do you think he was Republican?
Yeah, I mean he was white, so probably 90% chance he was Republican.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. How does that even make sense?
As much as
Okay, we need
no,
to talk
listen.
about this
As much as
whole.
I'm like liberal, as much as I'm in the middle. Um, I'm not like too far left. I'm not too far right. I and as much as I think like things are bad to say or do what's socially acceptable, I confine in those lines. But I actually get very ratchet and very stereotypical and very racist. Like but I view it as a stand-up comedic like comedian would. It's not serious. It's not to the point of to harm anybody. So for me to say, 90%, yeah, he's white, he's probably Republican, is a generalization that I realize I'm making and not something I'm pointing out as a fact.
It's weird because that's actually how it should be. Because everyone is fucking uses stereotypes. You have to.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
how our brain operates. Like it's how we make shortcuts. In psychology, it's like that's how it is. Like you see like okay, you see a Mexican cutting a lawn once. Then you see it twice. Then you see it throughout your entire childhood. Is it your fault that you associate cutting lawns and Mexicans?
No, it's your
No, it's just
parents' fault for not teaching you better.
dude, I fucking cut my own lawn until I went to college. And then my brother cut his lawn until college. And then my youngest brother watches other people cut the lawn.
Is it weird I used to beg to cut the lawn? We had
You get
Mexicans
paid?
cut. No, we had Mexicans cut the lawn, but I always wanted to feel like a 80s kid mowing the lawn down and drinking some iced tea in the afternoon because it's hot as shit. But I didn't want to do it with the pusher. I wanted to ride the thingy. I wanted to ride the tractor
Oh,
one.
oh, that's not real work.
It's
No,
work to me.
my parents were like, okay, we're gonna pay them $30 to cut the lawn, or I could pay him $25 to cut
Oh,
the
fuck
lawn.
that. I would have never got paid. I would have done that for free labor. My parents would have, you live under the roof. Go cut the lawn.
Yeah, but then that was my money. I mean, I guess that was their way of teaching me the value of money, which was very important.
It is
But
important. No,
yeah,
it's a good lesson. Okay, we let's get back. We kind of diverted way far off. I mean, we did it. It was relevant because we started talking about how the government is kind of not working for France, and we started talking about different types of government and different types of leaders and what would work and what wouldn't work. Assuming France is obviously it's a democratic nation. we don't know what their checks and balances are. We don't know, but you see these riots and you see these people suffering. Are you still on the side of like, you know what, I don't know the government policy, so I can't really support the people?
Um, I just don't know enough about. I don't know enough of why he did it.
They're
I
paying
don't.
$7.06 per gallon.
I
Dude,
I get it. I get it.
we
But like,
suffer for $2.80.
no, I get it. But the thing is, like, I don't. Most likely, the people are right, obviously. But like, I just need to know why. Like, what circumstances was this policy put in? Because you can go back in history and like, I don't know, like in World War II, they said everyone stop eating meat, or prices were so high because they were in war. That's an
Yeah, but
extreme
they're not in
example.
a time of war. This is not a
I
time.
know, but like I don't know anything about their policies. I don't know anything about like why he would even do that because it seems like a very liberal thing to do to cut it so to cut their reliance on fossil
Fossil
fuels.
fuels.
But he may just be stupid. Like he may just be it may not be a malicious thing. He may just be like, "Oh, I'm getting pushed around by all these people for gas, and our country needs to get away from this." He may see something long term what he's trying to fix, and then he did it in a retarded way and just cut it and not thinking about domestic policy. Like I could see that.
No, I get that. Sorry, something fell over there. That was a loud cling. But that I can see that. I can see that scenario of him just not knowing what he does. But it's the response to like he does something and then this happens. The people are clearly upset. The reason I side with the people even not knowing is because they're
It's
suffering. They're
easy.
they're going through these policies and they're living their daily lives and this is what they're resorting to because they can't do anything else. So that I can relate to and that's why I do empathize with them. But then it also like troubles me that his response would be to criminalize the people. I understand it's not the best way to go about trying to like tear up your country, burn things down, burn cars down. It's just
I mean,
we're
what other
talking about
response would you have to that?
well, we're talking about leaders. There's some good leaders wouldn't criminalize your entire nation. If the majority of your population is against what you did, it's best
Hmm.
you not make them more of your enemy.
Okay, but like, okay, you have riots going all around. You're a police officer. You see a kid break a window with a crowbar. It's still a criminal act.
Well, let's say this, okay? If you asked me if I was Macron, if I was him, um, I mean, I wouldn't have the perfect speech. I don't know what's going on in the state of country. I don't know what I've done to put us in this position. But I would at least come out with saying, I can understand your frustration. You guys doing these riots is only holding up our economy more. It's holding up small businesses, people who are trying to live their lives. I understand we have an issue, and I am doing everything to fix this issue. What I did may have not been the best solution. What I'm trying to do is with good intent, and here's what I'll try to do for the next couple of days to fix it. What I need
And
from the people.
on the end of that, you say, but anyone who continues rioting will be charged as a criminal.
Well, see, then you're still demonizing them. You're still getting them aggravated. Whereas
I mean,
whereas you can end off is what we need is for France. You have to make it more patriotic and say like what we need is the French people to stand together and help fix each other and rise our economy together. And I am your president and willing to do that for you. If and then I mean if you have to make an aggressive statement about the riot, you have to kind of remind them that it's only hurting the country more. Not criminalize them, not make them more these people I'm telling the reason they're there is because they cannot do anything else. Masses of groups of people that are there rioting because they don't if they go to work there's still no money coming in,
yeah.
so there's a clear problem, so you can't the
You
more
know,
we
I get
criminal
it,
the
but
more
as a leader, like you still need like he doesn't have to be aggressive. You can
but
just still
that's what I'm saying, he
oh
was.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just saying like what he has to be said. Like I feel like he still needs to say he should say everything you said, but he should also
Yeah,
say
listen,
that
you asked me and I made that up in 5 minutes, obviously not knowing any of the situation. He is the president of the country, like That's what I said this in one of our other podcasts. Like these are world leaders responsible for so many people.
But like, I mean, I stated something where he could just be stupid, but he could also be like he did it because the government is not, I mean, not corrupt, but it's an elite party. People are arguing that he's only helping the elite.
It's kind of like a puppet.
Kind of. I don't know. Like like the interviews they do in the street, people are just like he's just like he only serves the elite. He's
Hmm.
trying to push out people.
No, and you're right.
That's a
I
common
have to
theme,
do.
dude. That's a
I'm
common
sorry.
theme around the world.
With world leaders.
No, with like just a state of society. It's just the the upper class is getting smaller, the disenfranchised are getting bigger because we don't need as many people to do things anymore.
Do you think the whole world will go through Marxism at one point? Not socialism, not communism, but Marxism.
What form of it though? Like what do you mean?
Like his pure form of the working class overpopulating the elite class, and therefore them rising up to make changes through economic, social, and other type of reform. I don't know the exact text. I can't remember the exact text, but it's a Marxism is a very non-lethal type of form of communism, socialism, because that's where they derive from.
I don't think that would be the solution.
I'm not saying it's a solution. Do you think if the way you stated it, do you think that's the way it would be heading?
No, because we've had so many bad experiences with any form of socialism. Marxism is a form of socialism.
True.
I believe so, yeah.
I mean, it
So,
derives from Marxism, but yeah.
I mean, socialism is it's essentially like having a few people be in power of everything. It's just which is the same thing we're trying to avoid. I mean, I think radical ideas like universal basic income is something that might help with that. Um,
But those would be contributed ideas to Marxism, where equal pay, fair wages, kind of type of things. That's what I mean by non-lethal communism and socialism reforms. Um,
oh, you mean implementing like socialistic ideas?
yeah, like universal health care, wage
Well,
income.
the thing with socialism is it's a redistribution of wealth. It's stealing money from the wealthy and separating it out to everyone equally. That doesn't work. Like we have social policies like
No, I'm not.
um
I'm not too certain. I may be sounding a fool every time I'm referencing Marxism, but I should probably look it up. But my understanding of Marxism is more of it's not the Robin Hood effect. It's more of a socialistic reform.
how so
I guess that sounds pretty because socialism. What I mean by socialistic reform is like
like give an
the
example.
the people will rise up, not in a violent way, but will take control of their situation to, I should really look this up because I'm probably sounding like a retard right now, but they,
You do most of the time.
I can't even, you don't even deserve a response. It, and I lost my train of thought. It's not the Robin Hood effect of them just stealing and redistributing it. It's them making reforms. I guess in a example, it would be like trying to make a reform for like universal health care or something like that.
Like
It's not,
Obamacare.
yeah, it's not like we're blaming the rich, so make the rich pay more and give it to the poor people type of socialistic reform. I'm not explaining it right, and I know I did so poorly on that. And if anybody knows Marxism, there used to be a very like I used to love World War II period history and how everything kind of rose, and there was kind of the good and evil versus America and Russia at the time, and then how the Cold War rose from it. And Marxism and socialism, it's always fascinated me because immediately when I learned about it, I thought this is such a fair thing. Like, why don't we do this? And it's
Socialism?
crazy. Yeah, because it was just taught. It wasn't taught like in its purest form when you teach it into middle school and high school. It's just taught
Hmm.
as like this is a definition of it. This is what it tries to do, and this is how it was perverted. You know,
Hmm.
and when you kind of look at just the definition of it, and it just sounds like almost as a kid being innocent. It's like this is fair. Why don't we do this? This is fair. Like,
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Like, I went through that cycle too. Like, I think every kid does if it's presented to them in a non-biased way,
hmm
and that's what I think civilization went through. Civilization was like, yeah, that sounds like fucking amazing. Let's try it. Genocide.
that's
Let's
true.
try it.
That's
Genocide.
that's
Like,
true.
and then now
You
we
had
currently
poor
have.
leaders, though. You know, put
I
me
mean,
up
no,
there.
like the thing
Okay.
is, the common theme among implementing socialism is, yeah, they did it horribly, but I'm about to do it the right way. That's how it always starts.
That's that's
So
true.
there's something, the system is not built for
So
long
that goes
term.
back to our very first original podcast that we ever tested is human ego is the worst thing possible for human beings.
I think it's the best thing.
Okay. All right. We pushed this envelope far enough. We've gone in circles of
One thing
different
we
things.
didn't do with that is define. Like, there's so many interpretations of ego. What do you mean by ego?
eh, let's save it for another time because I think this will pour us into a deep well of a conversation because ego can be defined by a lot of things. Can be defined by your id. It could be defined by your desire. It could be defined by just the way you said, like, I'll take this idea and I'll do it better. As a next human being, they are bound to cause problem because of their human ego of I can do it better. I'll
Well, see,
do it this.
that's what makes it difficult because, to be honest, me and you were very fucked up when we did that podcast.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you
I
still have
was,
that, by the way?
I think I still have it.
I would like to
But the thing
listen
is,
to it.
no, I was listening to it, and it was just like we were debating on different definitions of the word.
Which always
So
seems to happen. That
we
I
were
think
pretty
that
articulate, but like I realized there was a psychological ego, then there was a personality ego, and then there was like a religious ego that we were talking about, and we were interchangeably arguing
arguing
with
about
those
which
stuff.
ego.
Yeah,
Not.
but we had like, if you had a point about ego personality wise, you were making a good point, but then I'd come back at you with like something with psychology, like with the word, like with ego in the psychology world. It's
I
very
have to
important to
listen. I have to
define what
listen.
the argument is before we argue.
That is
Future.
true. I gotta re-listen to how we because to be honest I'm starting to lose memory of what that conversation actually entailed and what the content of that conversation was because we
Yeah,
were that messed up. But anyways,
we should
we
do
pushed.
fucked up Fridays.
Yeah, oh, that's a good idea. You have a good reason to get fucked up anyways.
Yeah.
So okay, now I feel bad because we're
All
smiling
right,
and I'm
let's
trying to
do it like a little, let's do it like a little wrap up because we're talking about what's going on in France, and
yeah,
we
we talked
clearly
about it a
don't
lot.
barely know shit about it.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, at least what I would like to say is what I can understand from it. If nobody can understand anything, is that there's a big issue happening. People are amassing towards a certain thing. People are burning down things. There are riots happening for a reason. And if anything, if that at least makes you curious to go learn about what's going on with the country and with these people, there are some sad stories and a lot of people deserve the attention that they get because everybody at the end of our days and times, it's always going to be the species, the race of human beings trying to survive. It's not going to be Indians, Americans, Canadians, French, Britons, whatever. So I truly believe in that, and I truly believe that if things are happening this way in France, there's a true issue. Whether it's because they're just paying $7, which is a crazy, crazy amount of money to pay for gas, or if it's some other things, their economic resources have dried up because of their government, whatever it is, these people are going through something, they're going through a certain problem. And that's why we tried to bring it to attention. We tried to talk some issues around it, some general ideas. I, and we're not world peacemakers, but
I mean, then
conversation
I'll
always
say
helps.
you should check out what Macron has to say because we don't know what he's saying.
We no, you're right. We don't know.
I mean, most likely he might be wrong, but in any circumstance like this, when the majority is on one side, it's always beneficial to check out the other side.
Macron, Macron, Macron.
All right, Mr. White. If someone wanted to hear more of our bullshit, how
Our
would they do
bullshit, you
so?
can find us at tvjunkies.com. It's going to be your favorite new website, www.tvjunkies.com. You can find all of our content. You can leave comments. Please share. Please like. You can find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, at tvjunkies, hashtag tvjunkies, hashtag black and white. Tweet us back. If you just listen, share us. You don't have to comment. If you find us and you just like a segment, share it with someone else. I guarantee you there'll be a topic for you. We just appreciate anyone stumbling in or anyone finding us. We appreciate any support, and thank you so much. Again, I'm Mr. White,
Mr. Black.
and we are the Betterment Junkies.